Cortez.
Sorry, somebody was asking for connection. Okay, so first, I would like to thank everyone for coming, and I hope you explored all the vendors and got information about each program. I want to, I guess, just share a little bit about me and my program. It's called pureofheart.la, and we are collaborating with Timeless Group, and getting back to basic parenting. So we are working with the youth and the parents to empower them for greatness. So I just want to say, Ms. Jackson has known me since I was like 7 years old, and so it's like about, I won't say how long, but over 20 years. And as growing up with her girls in the neighborhood, it was a little hard, because we were distracted by guys and other things. And so, Miss Jackson was kind of like my second mom growing up. And by the way, this is my mother. She made the fruit salad. Thank you, Mom, for donating that. And so anyway, so basically, I guess the program that we created was based on real life experiences, because when you're growing up, you need a mentor, you need some kind of guide or someone to push you or hold you back from certain things. And that was Ms. Jackson for me. So please come up and introduce yourself.
You guys already know me. I'm Ms. Jackson, and I started back to basic parenting. And what inspired me was, in fact, that many people don't know, I was born severely dyslexic. And through my childhood years in school, I went to Caucasian schools, and that was very hard. I was called every dumb word by Caucasian teachers. So by the time I was in the 9th grade, 10th grade, I dropped out, became a teenage mother, and I struggled. And my only problem was I was dyslexic. It wasn't until I was 32 years old I checked into Inglewood Adult School. I found 4 teachers, African American, Negro, colored, black, whichever one you want to call it. And they taught me to learn the way I process information. Dyslexic, I had problems with text, code, and spelling. That was my dilemma. After graduating with a high school diploma, I checked into Southwest. After graduating at Southwest twice, I obtained my Bachelor of Science from Springfield College in Massachusetts. I decided to become a parenting coach because I was good at it, as Yolanda said, because I used the wisdom and common sense that I seen in my family, my ancestors used, my great-grandmother. So I knew what you needed to raise a child. I then pursued parenting programs. I enjoyed helping young women become better mothers, more responsible for their children, because I had to be responsible for mine. 16 years old, and by the time I was 24, I had 2. Neither one of my kids have ever been in trouble. So I take what I've learned, I take the wisdom, I take common sense, and I had a whole lot of street smarts. And that's what I help young people with today. I help any parent, parents who are coming out of CDC, into society, to understand the gap between where you were and where your children are now. So parenting, I enjoy it. It's like a second nature to me. So I thank all of the children that I have helped raise and spank and all of that. And I took it just a little bit further. I used it on my school bus. I'm a school bus driver. And it was ironic that Natasha here was she's a parent to one of my students. And I never knew it was her who would be here, helping her child on the bus to be independent, to walk up the steps. I just took whatever I had that would help another parent, and Back to Basic just started to grow from there. And I have 3 other people behind me sitting over there, the Timeless family, who helped me understand paperwork, contracts, so it made me a lot stronger. And then I had my nephew back there who went to college and always said, I just listened to what you had to say. So it really paid off for me to see those before me, after me, and those that's coming towards me grow in what I do. So that's how the Basics is growing. Thank you. So now we will have Cortez Chandler and Andre Yusuf Wiley come tell you about Timeless and what they do with the adults and the children. Come on, guys. These are some dynamic index discussions. Y'all nervous?
Everybody, is everybody in the room now? I know there's been a lot of movement around the room and things like that. And I just want to say, first of all, to Lapara, that she has the heart for this work. You know, and any type of work that's related to, you know, serving others and serving the community, you have to have the heart for it. So I appreciate her and her energy and what she does, you know, even for me and my family, my immediate family as well. So I just want to give it up for her once again. Thank you. So this is her husband, Cortez, who works with me at the Timeless Group. He's our Director of Operations, and we also have a youth component called the Youth Leadership Academy that we just recently restarted. We actually originally had this program established in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area, where our first group of members of our program were coming out of the juvenile system. So we were working with youth that many have thrown out the way. And that's what's happening in our community. So many of them are getting thrown out the way. So even by ourselves, even when we, as adults, run into our youth, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's, you know, in the park, wherever we encounter our young people, instead of embracing them, we find them ways to throw them out the way. And I think, you know, all of us being in the room today is very important for us to kind of like do a re-examination of our own self and where we at. And, you know, because like I said before, you literally have to have the heart for this work. So I'll just take it, you know, right there and let Cortez share a little bit about his experience and how the Timeless Group came to exist. Thank you.
Thank you, don't leave, brother, because I want you guys to know that's my inspiration right there. Because I was in prison for 24 years on a 25-hour sentence. When he was leaving, going home, he grabbed me and told me, I'm gonna get you home. Now, if a man tells you he's gonna get you home from prison, and he ain't a lawyer, something wrong. But I believed in him. I believed in him because he created Timeless inside the walls. You know, he helped people understand their problems and their issues. And my main class was domestic violence. He came up with a class, he wrote the curriculum, he did everything, domestic violence prevention. And I never understood why I was in prison. It wasn't because I beat up some woman. It was because I was with some guys. I was looking to reach out from my youth. I was trying to find myself, and I really didn't know who I was. His program actually got me to open up and see who I was and why I made it to prison. I was angry. I didn't drink. I didn't use drugs. I was just angry. Where did my anger come from? Came from home. Believe it or not, it came from home. My father was a military officer. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. From the outside, you see our house was immaculate, everything was nice. But when you go inside that house, my dad was an alcoholic. Only time we had a break when he left for 9 months. We was excited when he left. We was waving bye, hope he don't come back. That was our attitude. We loved him because that's all we knew. We didn't understand what love meant. Abuse is not love. Abuse is not love. And I'm saying this to everybody because I lived it. Because my dad used to always tell me, you're the man in the house. So when he left, I did everything that he did. I hit my little brother. I cursed my mom. I did everything that he wanted me to do. I didn't go beyond it. He come back, I'm back as the kid. I get whooped like everybody else in the house. I get cursed like everybody else in the house. This is a pattern of my life, which led me to prison. I mean, I came from a nice home, from the outside looking in. But inside that house looking out, I was already in prison. I didn't see that. I was incarcerated in my own house. This brother right here, inside the walls, in the darkest place in the world, he brought me out of there. And I told him, I'm on your pants leg forever. If you fire me, I'm still your friend. I'm still right there. What you need, brother? Because that's how much love he generated throughout the system. Well, we're in 7 prisons now. Our curriculum's in 7 prisons. He created. I always make it about him because he showed me. He's making me a leader. He showed me how to give back to my community, and he's giving to me. I'm appreciative of it, and I understand what it takes. Okay? Now, I'm going to give it back to Yolanda, because I just got somebody saying, I almost had a tear, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I feel tiny next to them.
Tiny.
All right. So I want to invite Keisha, please, one of my special guests. She will share about who she is and what she does and how amazing she is. And by did everyone turn them in for the? Okay, I'll come by. Okay.
What time is it? Alright, good evening. How are you guys doing? My name is LaQuisha Stone. I go by Queesh for short. And I have another alias as DJ Queesh because I'm also a DJ. I moved to California last June to pursue a career in DJing after I graduated from Howard University, age June. I moved here last June after I graduated from college to pursue a career in DJing and also sound design. Ironically enough, last year, right across the street, my truck broke down, and I was looking at this building, and I'm like, I wondered like what they did here. I figured it was something within like the community, but I never made my way back to find out. But I just thought it was funny that now I'm here, and just last year, when I first moved here, my truck had broke down. So it's cool to be here and actually see what you guys are about and what you guys do for the community. And as far as myself, I was actually supposed to be DJing, but for whatever reason, I'm not, and I'm talking, so I don't really have much to say. So I'm really speaking from the heart. But I very much can relate to what you guys got going on. I had a single mother who raised me and my brother, along with 2 of my other siblings when my aunt went away for jail. So I'm very familiar, and it also touches me that you guys are doing this for the community. So I'll actually like to get more involved in whatever it is that you guys may do, because I feel like I could I can relate. So I would definitely love to get involved. And besides that, as far as like the youth here, I just want to tell you guys that whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. I made my way here from North Carolina. I flew out last year. I bought a truck in Texas, and I drove from Texas to California, no job, no anything, and I made it here. I made it work. So literally, whatever you guys want to do, you can do it. And yeah, that's it.
Well, there's a lot of good answers. Okay. Ms. Jackson, what did you say? She has the list on the speaker. Cedric, please come up.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cedric Forner.
Wow.
And I'm a lead organizer for the Ex-Offender Action Network, and I am a member of the Los Angeles Metropolitan Churches. And I actually come from a family who's always been in service, whether it was in the church. My mother she ran the purity class. She was a church mother. My father was a deacon. He eventually became an ordained minister. So we ran a lot of programming out of the church. After the 64 riot, my brother ran a lot of team posts. So we always did stuff in the community. So after I graduated from high school, at age 18, I co-founded an organization called the Youth Outreach Organization, youth reaching out to youth to better our community. So what we did was a youth diversion program, and we cleaned up vacant lots and alleys. We worked with, then it was Councilman Farrell. He was councilman of the 8th District. So we're still working with Bob Farrell too, but we cleaned up vacant lots and alleys, painted graffiti off the wall, we did talent shows, we did fundraisers, we took kids on trips outside the neighborhood. So again, I've been in service for a while. I went away for almost 9 years, and when I got back out, I hooked up with some of my folks, and I'm back in the community working. And this time, we're doing re-entry. So when brothers and sisters, whomever comes home from prison, whether you're fresh out or you've been out for a while, we're looking out for your services. What do you need to get back on your feet? What do you need? And a lot of it's psychological, because we need to make that transition from prison culture to society. It's a big difference. I'm glad you got a lot of kids, and I got something to tell you kids in a minute too. We have another program coming up. But that's what I do. I'm also working with St. Joseph Center out in Culver City, Santa Monica, Venice, and that area. And we're doing the same thing out there. So I'm working in Spot 5 and Spot 6. So wherever there's a need and my brothers call me out, I'm going to be here. That's unity. That's what we need to make things successful. So that's what I'm doing so far as reentry is concerned. What I want to tell, especially the kids right now, because I know so many young folks are going to be here. LA Metro Churches has what's called a hackathon coming up pretty soon. Now the hackathon is about coding, okay? So, virtual reality, coding. So every year we do a hackathon. This is going to be the fourth annual, and it's for young people between the ages of 13 and 17. And there's going to be a group of like 75 in Southern California, and there's another group of 75 up in Northern California. And it's a contest, and they're going to be able to see each other. And this lasts for 2 days. Last year we were out down here at the Space Center out there. So really, I didn't bring any literature with me, but if you give me a number, give me your email address, I'll email you something, because there's still room for some young people. It's a really fun event, and I think this year, instead of money, they're going to give out Bitcoins, okay? There's food, there's going to be guest speakers. It's a really nice event, so if anybody's interested, please see me at the table in the back. Thank you so much.
Okay, did you young people hear that? Only one? The champion boxer, only one heard that? dynamic woman who took adversity and inspired herself. Her child inspired her to open Aiden House. Ms. Natasha, and from there you'll hear from Ms. Nita that can tell you all about it's never too late to get it cleaned up.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, speak softly even with the mic. Okay, I am so happy to be here, and this is an introduction, so I will do my best not to let it run into speech part. And I'm really excited to be here. This year today marks 1 year that Aiden's House was recognized as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Yay! We have done a lot. A little bit about Aiden's House. We are a resourceful nonprofit network. It's all of that included that helps families of children with special needs or disabilities. We aim to empower parents, a positive impact, adaptive lifestyle and living, and in our community development, such as our goals, inclusive playgrounds in our local communities. There are some, but we have to travel. And do we really? We had a hard time getting here. I had to take it when I could. I had an opening and I got here so early because of the challenges that we face. And speaking of challenges, as a parent, I actually have an older son. He will be 20. He is not here. He is taking his day off from work. I appreciate it because he works, so I'll just accept that. And I have 10 years later, I have Aiden. During that process, we focused on Aiden. He was born and he stopped breathing. When he was born, I had no idea that what was going on, that everyone crowded around him so that there was something, and I really work on faith. So I did not count how long my son was not breathing or whatever, he'll be back. They'll fix it. I know he's fine. And quickly what's that word? Is it resuscitate? He was breathing. And my sister took a picture of him before they took him to NICU, that's what I call it. And when I look at that picture, she said, "Here's your baby." And he was actually smiling on that picture. So I knew that I had a challenge and I had a miracle baby, and it was going to be a journey. During that time, my 10-year-old was having challenges as well, and it was hard for me to recognize that because pregnant, I was married, it was a bad marriage, I'm working, trying to keep the family together, and so my 10-year-old was acting out as well. Later I learned that he was diagnosed by school, said he had auditory processing disorder. So we have one with auditory processing disorder, and we have one, I don't know what's going on, but he hasn't met his milestones. Could it be that he wasn't breathing? After a while, enough was enough. I was tired of running in circles, everyone's advice. And during that time, my son was enrolled in school, and a lovely bus driver would pick him up, and she was so patient because I would be late. Getting him to that bus, I was so sleepy. I learned my lesson. I bring him to school now. I was so sleepy. And we would talk, and finally I told her what I wanted to do. So she was actually, Miss Jackson was the first person to know about my goals because I was afraid to share that with anyone else. It was premature. And she told me, "Well, get a pen and paper, you're gonna do a lot of writing." And I keep that with me. With that, I still had a journey. I had to find a doctor for Aiden. I put my foot down on some things, and I learned to be assertive with that. Still, Aiden's House was still just the idea. I was working for a nonprofit organization that is actually worldwide, and first I was appreciated, and then suddenly I switched office and I was not appreciated anymore, and that became another toxic situation. By the way, Aiden's father was not around. He left. Good riddance. And so with that, I said, you know what? I'm kind of frustrated here. I'm spending a lot of time and energy at this job, and they underestimate me. I got promoted. What they doing? And so I took my talents. I would come home late at night, and I would work on Aiden's house step by step. I had a manual that someone sent to me, and I would do it check mark. As frightening as it was, I thought it would be a lot of money, and it did not cost that much. And here we are. I no longer work for that place. They wouldn't learn a lesson. So I took my talents. I helped save them over $1 million, probably more. Who's counting? I believe it's more. And I said it's time for me to take my talents, and I left. And and once I left, more doors opened. Since then, Aiden's house has worked with Inglewood Police Department, with Shop with the Cop, where we have children that with disabilities shop with the police officers for the holiday. I don't want to say holidays, we're gonna put that, holidays. And they had such a good time. They could get anything they want. They had a budget. Aiden had the Chiefs, so Chief had a really high budget. Wow. Everybody wanted the Chiefs card. You better back up. And as well as other community partners, the Hoop Foundation did a charity for us where they also donated toys, and I'm gonna speak more about that. Charity to donate and support Aiden's house. Community churches, St. John's United Methodist Church as well. So our last toy drive, we were able to serve or gift 400. So, and with that, I thank Avril as well for guidance. And I can speak more about Aiden's house, but thank you for your time right now. Thanks.
How about the uniform?
I will. I'm coming back. I'll be back.
Let's give her a hand. Keisha wants to come back and tell you something very important. Come on, Keisha.
All right, back. Got a little bit more nerves now. I'll control, no tears. But no, I did just want to say one thing before I left, because I actually do have to go DJ at another event. I told Miss Yolanda, well, first off, I met Miss Yolanda through another friend by the name of DJ Krill. I was DJing an event, and he thought it was very great if I met her, and obviously it was, because now I have the opportunity to get more involved in the community, which I've been trying to do. In LA, since I'm not from here, I'm from North Carolina. So now that I'm here, I would like to get involved in for anyone who has any organizations or anything with the youth. You can get my number from Miss Yolanda. She has everything, and I would just love to be able to help the youth, help the kids, help whatever organization. Like I said, I DJ and I'm into music. So if there are any kids who want to get more musically inclined, if you want to learn how to DJ, or if you rap, or if you sing, if you want to make any type of beats, I do everything. I have an at-home studio, and if it means that I'm able to help take anyone off the streets or prevent anyone from getting into trouble, I would love to assist and just kind of gauge interest and spark some interest into someone. And yeah, if anyone ever needs a DJ, I'm here. I live here now, so like I said, you can get my number from Miss Yolanda. And this is my first time speaking, so excuse the ums and the cracks in my voice. I still have to get used to this, but I'm comfortable now. So like I said again, I would love to connect. So if there's anything I can do to help, or to provide, or to just be an asset, I would greatly appreciate that. I just connected with this young lady back here in the back. She DJs as well. Shout out to her.
All right.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm here, and I believe that my truck wreck last year brought me here again. So here we are.
Well, thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. All right. So now we have So now we have Anita Watson. Anita Watson. I wish it was a better MC. I'm not. But anyway. This one.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Nita Watson, and I'm here representing my organization, Free NG Reentry Project. But I am also here today as Free and Clear, which is an expungement assistance program. And I assist people with preparing their forms because that tends to be the most challenging part of the expungement process. And most people don't really have the wherewithal to know the language, understand what the courts require, and things like that. So I just help with with the forms to make it a little bit easier. But there's a very good reason that I decided to get into this work. As you all may know, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan's war on drugs, which was really a war on us. Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill, where 3 strikes for violent crimes somehow were amended to become 3 strikes for nonviolent crimes. And people ended up going to prison for life for petty theft. Ultimately, all of that has become what we recognize today as mass incarceration or modern day slavery. And much work, though, is being done around helping to make reforms in the prison industry and in the justice system. From Capitol Hill all the way down to our local government and community activists and advocates, such as these fine people that have gathered here today. So please give a round of applause to everybody in here that has a table that is working to combat what was systematically, carefully designed to destroy people of color. California, fortunately, is basically leading the pack, or if you will. They're really trailblazing on creating legislation to help us. And I'm just going to mention a few of them. I'm not going to stand before you too long and belabor this point, but just so you'll know, if any of us know anyone, if we ourselves have any past criminal histories that we have not gotten cleared, it's time to take care of that. I don't care how minor it seems for now. You may be well on your way in your career or whatever, but at some point, something may come your way that you were really interested in, and I've experienced this with many of my clients. We'll talk about this, and then months and years, sometimes down the line, they'll call me and say, I have this opportunity. I need to get this expungement done. Well, that opportunity, you might miss it because it takes time to do the process. But, like I said, the state of California has created quite a few pieces of legislation. As you may know, 2011, Assembly Bill 109 and 117, where they reduced the prison population. Prop 36, that was 3 strikes reform. However, even though they reformed 3 strikes, and this is just for your information, they still have a system where they can still attach time to your sentence. It's called sentence enhancements. And people don't talk about that. But the judges have free course to add time to your sentence. And so while they're, hooraying about the 3 strikes reform, the sentence enhancements are literally, that mass incarceration is incredible. And all the hidden things that we don't know about that go on in the courtrooms. Prop 47, Prop 57, Prop 47 allow theft and drug possessions from, to be reduced from felonies to misdemeanors, which is great. I got a call from one of my clients just last week. We were all celebrating and everything because one of her charges was reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor and expunged, and now she can move forward with her senior home because she has to get funded by Medicare, and she couldn't do it until that was clear, so now she's clear to go. Prop 57, parole for nonviolent crimes. Prop 64, this was a big one for me because marijuana is now legal in California for personal usage. But as you all may know, so many of us have been incarcerated, charged for weed possession, which is totally ludicrous. The plant comes out of the ground just like collard greens. But they have it on seriously, but they have it on the #1, the DEA has it at #1 on the list of controlled substance up there with heroin, meth, and PCP. Because it's all a game. It's all a game, and it affects us disproportionately. So fortunately, California, we went out and voted for Prop 64 and it passed. Thank goodness. And then now a lot of people are going to be able to come home that are in jail for marijuana. SB 261, youth offender parole hearings. The age of accountability has now been raised to 25. When a person does something at 15, 16, 17, they should not be charged as an adult. Because their mind is it's not an adult's mind. And so now that the age has been raised, Senate Bill 261, youth offender parole hearings, people can go to their parole boards and try to get those sentences, they can come home. SB 458. Now, this one disproportionately affects Hispanic people, in my experience. Because gang databases, all you have to do is be affiliated with a gang. They have babies in the gang database because of maybe they had a brother or a dad or whatever that was a gang. But you got a baby in a database. Well, see now with this Senate Bill 458, you can get your child or yourself out of the database, and you're not a gang member. So. I said all that to say, again, that California is a trailblazer. I'm grateful to our governor. He has done quite a bit around reform as far as re-entry and prison reform and everything. And so we're just going to keep pushing. We're going to keep working. This is a lot of years, you guys, since 2009. And I'll tell you a little bit of my own personal testimony. People wonder why or how I got involved in this type of work. Well, I myself had a misdemeanor that I had to get expunged. And I tried to get a job, and they had that question on there, have you ever been convicted? And I was like, yes, I have. I did it. I hit him. I did it. And I learned that you cannot allow your anger and your frustration to cause you to start chunking stuff. Okay, so me, the Christian lady, the educated lady with the degree, the briefcase, and the Bible, the tongue talker, in court, hiding, because I don't want none of the saints to see me with a misdemeanor, acting a fool. Something silly can cause you to mess up your record. You could be at the gas station and have an altercation with somebody. Police gets called, you get hauled off. It can happen to anyone. I have clients, I have firemen, preachers, you name it, that I've helped get cleared. So it can happen to the best of us. Don't be ashamed. You have somebody, you know somebody, yourself, please stop at the table. You don't want your record to prevent you from growing and progressing in life. God bless you. Thank you.
from Atlanta, but this first one is from the community of boxing. Can I get them to come up here? I was so excited when Yolanda called. She said, oh, I got my boxing friends to come. I said, oh my God. So when he came, I looked, I saw this young man sitting in the chair and the other young man sitting in the chair, but I didn't know this one was the champion. So we give a mic to them, they can introduce themselves one at a time and give us a little of their story.
So also I want to say that the reason why we incorporate sports into the program is because, you know, you can start at any age and you could be any age to be in a sport, whether it be boxing, whether it be baseball or chess, whatever. And I really want to say that, you know, the sport of boxing really, it can be frowned upon by the church, you know, believers, because it's violent, but maybe you guys could share with us what you have learned, something that's positive that you can use in life, throughout your life from, you know, now at your age and then also in the future. Okay, we'll start with you.
Hello, my name is Johnny Pulido, and I've been boxing about for 2 years now. And I go to the gym every day, work hard, and I've been to trips. I want to thank my dad and my mom for working hard and working every day. I used to go to the gym and waste all the money on me. So I want to thank them.
That's cool.
Thank you, that's cool.
My name is Max Enriquez. I've been boxing for 2 years, working hard, traveling around the world. I just won the junior golden gloves.
That's right.
National. I'm undefeated 6-0.
All right.
Just can't wait for Tennessee and Utah just to get that rank. I'm ready to work hard and go over there. It's pretty exciting.
All right.
My name is Edward from us. I'm the oldest. I'm 20. And actually started boxing when I was 15. But I started like just to lose weight because I was like pre-diabetic. I was like probably like 5 feet, weighing 230, 240. So it was actually a risk, but I lost the weight. I was actually close to quitting like boxing. And I remember that like around 2 weeks later, someone else that used to train with us brought Coach Omar. And then basically since then, he has been like a father to me, both in and out of the ring. And it has helped me like stay focused because I already graduated in high school. In 2 weeks, I'm starting my 3rd year at Cal State Northridge. So yeah, I can say boxing has helped me actually like mature myself as a person, but it is hard because I haven't really been able to compete at tournaments. I would like to because one, just the money, it gets pretty expensive, and then trying to graduate right now college. So, yeah, like I'm not used to speaking like out loud to people.
This is a girl.
But yeah.
He's yeah.
Yes, and so in school I'm actually majoring, and I'm double majoring. One is in nutrition dietetics, which is kind of the reason like I got into it because of me losing weight, and I want to focus into sports nutrition. which leads to my second major, which is business, because I kind of want to help also like the community around and be able to basically start off my own business, hopefully soon in the future. But we have like plans just to finish this year off in the amateur as a boxer, and then next year to hopefully debut as a pro.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is David Romero. I can say boxing has helped me in many ways. I actually started boxing because of the same reason. I was overweight, and so yeah, when I started boxing, I was overweight, and
what is the life lesson you learned through boxing?
to never give up. To never give up and just pursue your dreams.
That's good. That's good.
Last year I won the same tournament you won, the Junior Golden Gloves, Nationals, and Utah. I placed 4th. Utah. U.S. Championships. I placed 4th place, and I actually got ranked number 4 in the U.S. at 141. And yeah, that's.
Hi everybody, I'm Isaac Placencia, and boxing has taught me a lot. At first I just my parents wanted me to join boxing just for self-defense because I was scrawny, little, and people pick on me. But so I got into boxing and I really liked it because all my teammates, my friends, they made it fun. So it didn't make it as difficult as it is because I looked at it more as fun. But through life, boxing taught me how to be disciplined because you have to be really disciplined for the sport. You have to wake up early, run, you have to watch your eating, you have to do a lot of things, and it got me more disciplined for in life as a person. And yeah, it helped me a lot, and it's really fun traveling and all that stuff, but sometimes we can't really travel because of the money. We can't do a lot of things because we don't have any money, and yeah, it's kind of hard for everybody. But for me, thankfully, I have my coach who supports me, my parents, and a lot of my teammates who support everybody, and that really helps us a lot for everything.
Awesome. All right, Coach.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Omar. I started boxing back in '94. I was one of those troubled teens that I had too much energy and didn't know where to put it. And I was constantly getting into fights. And one day, I got into a fight with the wrong person, a teacher, which didn't look good, so I got kicked out of the school district. I ended up at a continuation school, and it ended up having me to, I was behind. I was really behind. I was already going to the 11th grade, and I only had enough credits to barely start 9th grade. I was just too active, doing too many things, and I was always thinking about making money. Got caught up in selling drugs, and but what happened is I found my way to the boxing gym one day because a friend of mine told me, hey, they got a boxing gym over here. Stop paying the YMCA all your money. So that's only $20 a year, and I was like, $20 a year? And I was like, what do they have? He's like, they have karate, weights, boxing. I said, boxing? I was like, oh man. So I went over there. I went 3 months straight, couldn't find the coach. Apparently my coach was the U.S. national coach, so he was always traveling. And anyway, I got started with him. I brought up the thing about me selling drugs because I got a big opportunity. One of the undercover officers who taught the basketball team at the gym. So the gym I went to, the gym that I was in, there was a program called PAL, Police Athletic League, which, you know, it's kind of like a boys and girls club, but it's ran through the police department in Long Beach. And the officer that was chasing me just happened to be the undercover who taught the basketball team. So she gave me a chance. I didn't look like my cousins. All my cousins were bald-headed, baggy pants, and I had hair, and I wore nice clothes, and I just didn't look like the gangsters like the rest of them did. And she pulled me over. She had me empty out my pockets. I had a bunch of dope on me and a lot of money on me. So she said, I'm gonna give you one chance to change your life, and you either go with it, or if I catch you in the street, I'm gonna arrest you. And I was already at the point where I was about to be 17, so I was gonna get tried as an adult. And I had a lot of dope on me, which would have got me in a lot of trouble. So I ran my butt straight to the gym. I didn't turn back. I stuck with it. I did really well. I didn't think I was going to be that good. I became one of the best guys in the country. I made the U.S. team. I got to travel and see the world. I've been all over the place. I had almost 100 fights as an amateur. I won 88, lost 6. I did pretty well, but I tried to pursue a professional career and I ended up getting hurt. So I didn't get to pursue it, so I didn't want nothing to do with boxing anymore. Well, I was doing financially well at some point, like years later. I was like, you know what, I'm missing something in my life, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And then a friend of mine brought me to the boxing gym. As Edward said, he brought me to the gym where I met him. He's actually one of my first athletes. And I started there. The job that I had I was doing well, and we ended up having to close the business because things just fell apart. And it led me into training. So I was already doing that, and I had 2 guys that made that won the Olympic qualifier. And I was like, dang, man, my first 2 years, I'm doing pretty good. My coach was all proud of me. I was like, dang, these guys have been doing it for 10, 15 years. I was pretty shocked how well I did, so I stuck with it. And then, I'm still here now. I'm doing it as a job now. Now that's all I do. I train athletes and I train people just like yourself, the average Joe. And I try to help everyone get fit. And I train these young guys. This is where my heart and soul's at. So I'm just giving back to the same way it was given to me. Not just trying to make great fighters, but also good citizens. I want them to be more than just a fighter, but I always tell them, man, have a backup plan because this is not guaranteed. I went to school because I didn't think they told me it'd be impossible to get back to regular school. Well, I proved them wrong. My coach, who was a big influence for me, he changed my life. He was also like a father figure to me. He made me pursue education, and I didn't think that I could ever pursue my education. And he made me believe that I could, and I would sit my butt down 8 hours a day, every day, so I could get back to regular school, and I ended up doing it my senior year, and I got to experience. Man, it made school so much easier. I appreciated school so much. When I went back to regular school, it was pretty easy, and I ended up graduating with honors, and ended up getting a scholarship, and I ended up I didn't end up taking the scholarship to the school that they wanted me to go to, but I stayed here in Long Beach, and I went to the junior college, and I went to Cal State Long Beach for a bit. But now I'm here with these guys, and I got a few more others that weren't able to make it, but here trying to do my best and help these guys. It's a bumpy road. It takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, but we try our best. And there's programs like the one we have, and like your programs that you also have that help kids like them. Like you don't have to be a product of your environment. You can see outside, like the gentleman said. Like I never wanted to see myself in prison or be inside those walls, you know. And like I was heading that way, but luckily I had a way out, and I was given that chance, and I guess this was what I was supposed to do. So that's why I'm here now, and you know, I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
So I know you guys know who Triple G is. All right, this was signed by him, and I don't know who. Do you guys know who Triple G is?
No.
Okay.
The middleweight champion of the world.
Yeah. So.
He's a big deal.
Yeah, real big deal, and he's fighting September 15th in Las Vegas. I'll be there. I don't know if you guys are. Any vote. Yes. So on my social media, I placed this glove for auction, and the deadline was 2 o'clock. So somebody won it, and the $300 that we got from this, I'm gonna give it to you guys. Okay. And I mean, it's not much because boxing is very expensive, but at least it's something. So please give them a round of applause. Anyone else has a guess? Huh? Oh, his name is Charles B from my Instagram. Yeah. So thank you, Charles. Huh? Oh. Oh, there's a marker right there.
Everybody turn in your paper.
Everyone turn
Guess
around.
how many's in here?
Yes.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, look. This is the closest one.
Wow.
So we actually have 4 winners. So, what we're gonna, there was a lot of good guesses, and there were 98 candies in here. 98. And we have, the closest one was 100, and then a few people came in and guessed. So we have 4 winners. So we could either do a tie, or you guys could, split it up. I also have other prizes. So I met Omar through boxing, but also I go to Gloveworks. And so what I was gonna do too is, if any of these 4 people are interested, the prize is 1 class at Gloveworks. That'd be the price because it's expensive up there. Okay, so let's see, Sabrina, Timothy, Joanne, and Pastor.
Who's pastor?
Who's Pastor? Okay. So just talk to me after, and we'll figure it out.
Once again, we want to thank all of you for coming. While I was sitting there and they were talking, I was thinking about all the people we invited that didn't come. But as he was talking, my spirit changed, and I thought about the people in here who have affected in other people's lives as many people that could fill this room. Timeless, hundreds of people. Forever Young, hundreds of people. Pure Heart, 100 people. Back to Basics, hundreds of people. There's many people that's not here that are what we do and what we give. Aiden House, walking around and they're out at the jazz festival. So we have done a tremendous job. And I like to think my daughter, who has her own t-shirt printing production, she made all the t-shirts you see us wearing. That's BA t-shirts over there. So now I have the opportunity to introduce, I don't even know what to say. We used to call him Juju. And then when I saw his pictures on his website, I said, oh, I can't call him Juju anymore. I have to say Julian now. Julian is extended family. He grew up with 2 of my nephews and my grandson. All of them got the same speech. All of them ate at the same table. But his motto was, if they going that way and it ain't no good, why should I go? And I can proudly say, this young man has made me proud. On his own, through all the adversity that a young black man can have. And what was so ironic about it, he could get pulled over, put on the curb, and his daddy's a sheriff. But he faces the same adversity as every other child, Latino, African American, Chinese, Korean, that walks these streets, and the wrong person who has a gun or a badge approached him. But it was hard, because he knew one side of the law and lived on the other side of the law as a pedestrian walking up and down the street. So with no further ado, I bring to you someone I am totally proud of Morehouse Grand, my baby, my boy, my nephew, Julian White, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. What inspired you to keep it moving?
Thank you. That's the part of those words. It means so much. She knows me, I was just a little dude out here running around trying to figure out this thing called life. She's always a phenomenal woman, has been a listening ear to me since I was a child. And also at times got me together when I decided I wanted to be a knucklehead as well. So those stories she was telling earlier about, the whoopings and the yells, yeah, I can attest to that. So again, thank you for an invitation for me to be here with you all. And thank you for all the hosts and the sponsors. It just feels good just being back in my hometown of Los Angeles, California. I've been living in Atlanta, Georgia now for about 8 years, but definitely had to make it back here for this. So just with all that being said, I'm still a firm believer that there is power that comes from sharing personal narratives, which we all have, heard from earlier. And I think we could all think back into a time where, whether our family members or a friend or a mentor has shared with us a story that's kind of inspired us and allowed us to continue through and want to do more and want to do more for those around us and for our broader community. So I want to share with you all just one brief story about a gentleman named Curtis Carroll. Anyone know him? Curtis Carroll, not Curtis 50 Cent Jackson.